Hi guys, welcome to Charities Bible USA, your #1 channel. It's a fine morning. So good morning. I hope you're doing fine. I'm doing very much okay. I'm coming from work. Like I told you, this job of mine, I don't have to wear uniform. Can you imagine in 10 years? This is the time that I am going to work without uniform. That makes me so happy. You know, it reminds me so much of Kenya, and wow, it's a good thing. So I'm going home, and today I want to talk about how you can be successful, or how your kids can be successful when you immigrate and come and live here in the US. That's what I want to talk about, because we want to make sure that the people who are coming right now, and also the people who have been here, they have done nothing. That's the group that I want to address. But if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly consider subscribing. So where do I start? And for the new subscribers, thank you. Oh gosh, that's it's a squirrel. I almost killed it, but I'm glad that it went back. I hadn't seen it. So guys, it's a little bit foggy. Like I told you, it's been raining, which is okay, so it's a little bit foggy. But today I want to talk about success, because success comes in many ways, and I'm going to talk about success in 2 areas, whereby I'm going to start with, you have come in, you have a family, and when you start life with a family, that's a little bit different. It's not like when you start life and you're by yourself. Those are 2 different things. So when you come here, the first thing that you will hear most people telling you or saying is that you need to go back to school, you need to go back to school, you need to go back to school, which is okay, because I'm telling you, when you come in and people realize that you're new, people are full of ideas. People will bombard you with ideas, which is okay, because it's a new territory, and it's fine. But your first teacher, who will be like your parent, is your host. That's what I normally say. Take it or leave it. Your first teacher will be your host. Regardless on how it's going to end up, that person will make an impact in your life. Most people do not like to acknowledge that, but that is the truth. So you can learn from your host, or you can learn from online internet, you can learn from other people. But what I would say is that we have 2 different kinds of people, especially if you have a family and you are trying to settle, you're trying to work to make the ends meet, because the moment you get into the system, normally what happens is that you have to start paying bills. Like bills, oh gosh, they just come and come and come, and left and right, they just come. So you're gonna have to cater for your family. So you might not be able to go back to school, but one of you can go to school. If you're married, one of you it's very easy for one of you to go to school. That is, you agree, and then you're like, one person is gonna help to cater for the bills, and the other one is gonna be going to school and working part-time. That works very well, and that is what we did. Me and my husband did that. When we came in, he had told me, even before we entered US, he was like, I am never gonna go back to school. He knew that. So his mind was set. But me, when we came to the US, I saw an opportunity whereby I could come to school and get my dream of becoming a nurse. I wanted to do that. And I had always, I thank God that I had always been a bright student, even at school. So it wasn't really hard for me to navigate. There were challenges, yes, but I still made it. So with the support of your spouse, you can be able to go to school and accomplish something. So that is one way. So I'm getting into the highway, and when you're getting into the highway, you're going to have to be very, very, very careful. So that is one thing. The other thing that I want to talk about is, you are single, you have a child, or you have children, and you're not able to go back to school. It's okay. So you can do the bare minimum, especially when you are at your host. You can do the bare minimum and just start with the basics. And then when you start with the basics, as time goes and you get used to the system, then you can be able to apply and go to school. That is if you want to go to school and at the same time work, because you find that you don't go to school all the time. You go to school 4 days in a week. Like my schedule for nursing was 4 days in a week, so I had 3 days that I was free. And you find that there are also like the days that you don't go to school, holidays and everything. So you're gonna have to plan for a whole year and know these are the days that I can work, these are the days that I cannot work, these are the days that I can be with my child, and so on and so forth. And you find that people still make it through that way, whereby they work, especially if you're by yourself, and at the same time they go to school and they still accomplish, they get degrees and everything. That has been done. So you can go through that route. What about that person who doesn't want to go back to school? Because there are some people like my husband, he was like, I don't want to go back to school, which is okay. You can dive into business. But business is a little bit tricky. So if you think in your mind and then you're like, I want to start a business, then what you're going to do is the first thing that you need to have is do research. Do research. Maybe find out the people who have done this business, have they succeeded or what has happened to them? And then the other thing that you need to have is patience, guys, because you don't know, the business world is it's an uncharted territory, whereby I can say it's not like when you're being hired by someone and you know that every 2 weeks you're gonna get a paycheck. No, business is different, because you have to think about building your clientele. And then after building your clientele, you have to think about how much are you getting, how much are you making for profit, and all that. You have to think about all that when you have kept a business. So you need to be very, very, very patient, and don't expect it to pick up in like the next short time that you have started making a lot of money. No. Don't think about that. You're gonna have to be very patient until your business picks up, and people have done very, very well. So if you want to start a business, the best thing is you have a job, still continue doing your job, maybe part-time, and then you do your business still part-time until it peaks. And then when your business peaks, then you can stop working and then concentrate on your business. So that is one thing. You can do transportation. There's some people who do transport business. There's some people who go for truck driving. Truck driving is very lucrative. But sometimes I would say like a truck driver, especially with the family, is a little bit hard. And I normally tell you guys that I like to talk about what we have done or what we have experienced, because Francis has got a CDL, and he did go for, there's construction there. He did go for a truck driving job. They want to build a bridge. See, there's going to be a road up there. There's going to be a bridge. So when he went, it became a little bit harder on me, because I was pregnant at that time, and it was becoming difficult for me to go to work and do everything and be with the kids and everything. So he had to stop. So that can be a challenge that you can face, especially if you have family and you want to be a truck driver, of which it can be done. You can decide that your wife is gonna be a stay-at-home mom, like just to do everything for the kids and everything, and then you work. But you find that truck driving sometimes can be tricky, because the first times when you're being hired, you do not make a lot of money, because it's like you are in orientation, and this orientation, normally what happens is that they don't pay you much until at a certain time when they give you your own truck, and then you start making your own money. So it can be challenging, and most people are not able to go through that window period. I call it the probation period, whereby you're not making so much money, but you're still expected to drive so many hours so that you can learn the road, because roads are different here. Like we've gone several places, and I think when we went to California, we went to San Diego, I didn't like those roads because it's very steep and it's hilly, and California is so hilly, it's very, very hilly. So you're gonna have to learn those roads so that when you are by yourself, then you're good. So it's gonna take you some time before they start paying you the money that you would like to be paid, and enjoy the fruits of being a truck driver. But with patience, you can still do it. But then you can go for that training, and maybe your spouse is supporting you, or maybe you have a whatever job, and then after you have succeeded and you know that you're okay, then you can buy your own truck. So when you buy your own truck, that means that you will be getting your luggage or your cargo online. You'll be looking for stuff online, and then you can take it from point A to point B. And at that same time, making sure that when you get your cargo to go, let's assume you're going to California, or you're going to New York, or you're going to any state, then in that state you have looked for another luggage that you're going to carry from there back to where you came from, because you don't want to take an item and then you come back empty-handed. You don't want to do that. You want to have whereby you go with luggage and then you come back with luggage. You can do that. It's a good way to self-employ yourself. And when you self-employ yourself, then you can plan your schedule, of which you can have more time to be with your family, especially if you don't want to travel or take goods at a long distance. That's something else that you can do. The other thing that you can do is you can become a landlord. You can dive into real estate. Real estate is good, guys. It's really, really good. And I think you've watched some of my videos where I have put in some houses that we buy, and we remodel them, and we rent them out. We do that. But you're going to have capital, and you're going to have a good credit. Sometimes, I normally say that the hand of God is always guiding us. And the hand of God is always upon us. Like, there's a grace that we have, me and Francis, and I always thank God for that. Because sometimes we sit down at the dining table and then we talk about stuff, and then we are like, this is what we want to do, and then it just happens. Because my husband doesn't choose work. He even collects garbage. He even cleans up houses. He even does transportation. He does everything, anything that comes that out there. As long as he's gonna make money, he doesn't mind. And if you go to his YouTube channel, it's called Quimenya America, whereby he talks about the work that he does here, the dirty jobs. He is not afraid of getting dirty, which is good. That's very, very good. So you can dive into real estate, whereby you buy a house that's not a very expensive one, because if you buy very, very expensive houses, then you're not going to be able to pay your mortgage and pay that mortgage at the same time. So I do remember, and our first house, we were so lucky, guys. We were really, really lucky. It was this home. It was just broken down, and the people who were living there, they I think they had to move out or something, and the house was being sold. And I'm telling you, believe you me, our first house, we got it at $30,000 US dollars. And then that's a house that you have to put in work, because you're gonna have to remodel it. You have to have resources so that you can renovate it until it becomes suitable and it becomes a good house that can be lived in. And that was our first home that we were able to purchase with no mortgage, no nothing, and we thank God for that, because that's where we started our real estate business. And I'm telling you this so that you can, you can get something from there, because you don't have to be hired or to be employed. Like my husband, I would say that he doesn't like to be employed. It's different and it's okay, but he likes to manage himself. So that was our first home, and that home has been a mother to other homes. Because when you have an asset, especially if the asset doesn't have debt, it's very easy for that asset to bring you another asset that is the same, and then you go on and like that. So you can dive into real estate. It's very good. It's very lucrative. You can decide, I'm gonna be getting these houses, I'm gonna be renovating them, I'm gonna be renting them out. that gives you income. You can say that I'm gonna get these houses, I'm gonna be renovating them, and then I'm gonna be selling them. That is still revenue that you are creating for yourself. Try and think out of the box. When you come here, think out of, because all the resources are there. As long as you are doing the right thing, nobody is gonna care what you're doing. I'm telling you, here it's not like the way you see, and I like to give an example of Kenya, whereby you see someone has bought a nice car, and then you're like, nobody cares about what you're doing. Even if you're driving a broken down car, so long as it's taking you from point A to point B, nobody is gonna give a damn. And that is the spirit that you should have. It doesn't matter the business that you're starting, as long as it is legit. Yeah, that business is legit, then you are able to generate your own income. So those are some of the tips, because you want to be successful. You want to have something that you can tap into when you are not able to run around, and go to all these hours, go and try and work all these hours. You want to be able to have something, especially when you grow old, that if you have a few houses that you're renting out, then that puts you at an advantage, because you will always know that you have a source of income for yourself. You see what I mean? So think about that when you're coming in. Think about all those things. Think about, although right now it's a little bit hard, and I'm gonna say that it's a little bit hard, because I know that there are some people who buy stuff. They import stuff, and then they come and sell them. Maybe they sell them in Amazon, or they sell them in eBay, or all those. There are those big companies that you can partner with and be able to sell your goods. But right now, because of the tariffs, the taxes that are there to import stuff at this time, I'm talking about at this time, not like the other time, at this moment, with this regime, you find that it's gonna be a little bit hard. People are still gonna buy stuff, import stuff, and come and sell it, but it's gonna be very, very expensive. So you find that either the consumers are not gonna be able to buy, or people are going to import stuff and then they try and sell, and they're not making a lot of profit. So that one can go either way. So I wouldn't advise someone to start maybe getting some, like me, I love hair. So if I wanted to do a business by myself, if I didn't have to do anything, because now my husband has his own thing, and I have my job as a nurse. If I wanted to do something else extra, then I would be buying like something like wigs and something like makeups and selling them to people online. I can do that, but now I would have to look at the numbers. I look at the data. If I import something, because I can import something if I wanted to from any country. If I import something, when I come in, if I look at the taxes, is it gonna give me something? Am I gonna be able to sell it to the consumer? That's what you think about. And then when you think about that, then you will know whether you wanna do that or not. Because at this time, I wouldn't say like it's the best thing to do, especially if you're starting. For the people who are more established, it's a little bit different. But for the people who are starting, you might be frustrated. So you don't wanna go that route, whereby you want to buy stuff outside, import stuff outside, and then you say that you're going to sell to consumers. It might be a little bit tricky for you to be able to do that. But what I'm talking about is you can be able to get something for yourself. So what I would not want you to do, which I clearly and kind of discourage people, is when you come in and you get your CNA license, because most people, that's the easiest. Because, and why people like to go do the CNA license even when they're hired in a place like Walmart and then they go back to healthcare, is because healthcare, there is always a lot of overtime hours. There is always a lot of there's always work. There's always work, and that's a place whereby if you want to work extra, you will work extra. With not so much struggle. But you find that if you're hired in a place like in a supermarket, sometimes it's hard to get overtime. So you do not want to come in and maybe you find that someone is a registered nurse. Of course, a registered nurse is paid a lot of money, and maybe you are a CNA, which is okay. And I don't look down on anyone. And maybe you are making less than that, and then you're like, I'm gonna be working overtime. I'm gonna be working so many hours, and I can still make the same money that the RN is making. But you find that as you grow old, you're not going to be able to do all that. You will get tired, and you'll be like, you're getting tired. So by the time you are old, you're not going to be able to run around doing all that. So when you're young, when you just come in and you're young, do what you feel like in the next 20 years to come, you will not be running around. And then it's a little bit discouraging. Like for me, I don't like working overtime. I used to work overtime, but then I would look at my paycheck and I'll feel so bad. Because let's assume like you have worked your regular hours is 80 hours, and then you put in another maybe like 50 hours or 60 hours of overtime. But then when you look at your paycheck, you find that half of the money that you worked overtime, you have been taxed. That makes you feel so bad and so discouraged. So I stopped working overtime. I'd rather have a second job instead of working overtime. I just can't do it because the taxation for the money that you work overtime, it's more higher. So you find that it's like you divide half and half with the tax person. So it doesn't, some people do it. For me, I can't do it because I feel like I can't work all that and not have a lot of sleep and then all my money is going away. No, I just like to be taxed normally, The normal taxes, that's good for me. So if I get another job, that's fine, So you do not want to come and settle, because some people, I know people who came and settled. They just came and they settled. And someone will be like, I've been here for 30 years and I'm still a CNA. I've been here for 30 years, I'm still a medic. It's okay. I'm not saying that it's a bad job. But depending on where we come from, guys, we come from Africa. We have had, whereby there has been a lot of hardship, There has been a lot of hardship. There has been a lot of, we grew up in a very hard circumstances. Some of us are here because of the grace of God. That's what I normally tell you guys. So you do not want to come and settle. You do not want to come and get into groups that are gonna dictate how your life is going to be. If you live in Kenya, you have seen that couple that are separated, and then after they separated, the woman was got a friend. I would say it's friends, but those friends were trying to advise her on. They were helping her to get all these lucrative stuff, all these brand ambassadorial jobs, but they had sanctions, they had expectations from her, and when she could not meet the expectations, she said no, because most of the time people do not like to be told no, and they want to control you. Then that's when like hell broke loose, and the internet was crazy, and they were calling her names, and and she had to go and apologize. If I was her, I would not have apologized for anything. She had nothing to apologize for inviting her kids and the father to her kids to her event. She you can't be sorry about that. That's your family. You cannot be sorry about that. It's like me. I normally say, like, I've been married for a long time, and if someone doesn't agree with Francis, or someone doesn't agree with my children, then that person cannot be my friend. And if someone doesn't agree with me, or they do not share in my values, or they do not respect me, they have no business with my kids, and they don't have no business with my husband. That's how I see it. That's how I live my life, and I don't apologize for that. So you don't want to be influenced, whereby you come in, and then maybe someone gets you a job, and then they're like, oh, let's make a weekend where we can be meeting, and every weekend we can be doing barbecues and all that. People have gotten lost through that, because every weekend you're partying. So if you party every weekend, you're not going to be able to go to school, because if you go to school during the weekend is when you're supposed to go to work. So you'll never get the fine things. You'll just settle for less, and you don't want to settle. This is a great country whereby you have the opportunity to be successful, and that's what you want to do, guys. That is what you want to do, and that's what I have come to tell you this morning. When you come to live in America, or when you go to Australia, or when you go to Canada, you have to bring out your best. Do it like you will never do it again. Make yourself better. Like if I look back 10 years after, because it's been 10 years. This is our 11th year. Actually, oh my gosh, we are almost 11 years, because May the 20th, we are going to have 11 years in the US. So when we look back, what have we done? We've done a lot, guys. We've done a lot. We would say, like, right now we lived in an apartment, but 11 years and 5 houses down the line, I think we've done really good. We thank God for that. So you want to look back and see that you have done something. And if God calls you today, what legacy are you gonna leave? You know, are you just gonna leave empty-handed? Or no, that's what you wanna look at. And since here you can do anything, you can even go back to school and you're 50. I went to school, to LPN school with a lady who was 52 years old. You know, and she did not, you know, she wasn't giving any apologies. And she passed her test, you know, and she became a nurse. And actually she went back and became an RN, you know. And, you know, those are the stories that we want to hear. So if you're out there and you just came into the US, that is what you should be talking about right now. That's what you should be saying. You'd be like, 10 years later, this is where I was and this is where I am right now. So there are so many things that you can do for you to be successful. So many things, but do not settle. Don't settle. And so there's another thing that I want to talk about. If you have a story to share, if you've been here and you'd like to partner with me and maybe just share your story on my YouTube channel, you are welcome to reach out to me. You can DM me at Charity's Bible fan page, or at Charity Nganga, that's my Facebook page, and then we can decide, and then we can do you know, interviews. That's what I want to start doing in the near future. So all I can do is wish you all the best, guys, supporting me. Thank you for always, even when I don't post, thank you for always staying and hanging on. But I wish you all the best, guys, in whatever that you're doing. And when you come here, try to say hello. Some people just come and they just disappear. Say hello. And that's how we roll. So guys, thank you for always listening to me and watching and keeping it here at Charity's Bible USA. Thank you and God bless you.